All right, ladies and gentlemen. Happy what is it? Wednesday to you, I think. It's pretty good. Better than Tuesday. Let me ask you guys a favor here, okay? Make sure again when you log in, just a reminder, put in your full name, as I'm going to be using that to take attendance, and then also have your video on, please. So video on, sound off, and no nicknames. All right. That'd be super helpful. Thank you. All right. First thing I wanted to discuss is I hope you, well, not discuss, just wanted to tell you, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I only had you watch 20 minutes or so of it, but I just watched it again. It's very relaxing. Make sure you have uploaded that video guide to Canvas, as I will use that. I'll put that in the grade book. Make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do about 2 o'clock, 2:30. Second order of business today, we are going to start off the class with a skill-based activity, and you're going to be getting into some groups. So I can show you how this is going to work. All right. Modules. And you're going to find this on your page after I explain it, please. This says 8.5 Buddhism to Judaism, Mesopotamian religion comparison. So here's going to be your task today. Make sure you're paying attention. You're going to be put into a small group, 3 or 4. You're going to compare Buddhism, what you know about it, to Judaism or Mesopotamian religion. You can choose one or the other. You're going to make at least 3 comparisons. When you make comparisons, they need to be formatted as such. First off, I need everyone to understand that a comparison can be a similarity or a difference. Showing similarity or difference, okay? They're going to be set up as what I call direct comparisons, where you tell me what one religion believed in, and then you tell me what the other religion believed in, or again, what you're comparing, and then you have to use a linking word. For example, a linking word would be while, or to show difference. As well as would be a similarity. In contrast to would be a difference. Whereas, okay, these are called linking words. In your 3 direct comparisons, I want you to make sure that you use different linking words. So don't use and for all of them. Okay, or don't use similarly. Those are some ideas though, okay? When you are done, submit your comparisons. Only one group member needs to submit. So you guys can decide once you get put into your group who's going to be the person that types it up and submits it. I would make sure that you guys all agree on what he's submitting or she is submitting. Okay? Then you need to make sure you include everyone's name on the submission. If your name is not on the discussion post, I'm going to mark you absent. Okay? This is your attendance for today. First and last name. Does anybody have any questions before I stop the share, let you go and find this, and then break you into groups? If you have a question, unmute now and go ahead and ask away, please. Okay, just one more reminder. Direct comparison means you're directly comparing. So you're showing what each one does, what you're comparing. So it's one religion is this way, the other religion is this way. Okay, you don't say both believed in this. You have to identify what it is. Okay, that's the difference between a both statement and a direct comparison. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the share. I'm going to give you, I'm going to start with 7 minutes on this. If you finish much earlier, raise your hand and we can break it down earlier and get moving, okay?
Mr. Burnett, I'm going to go get some water real quick, so I'll be right back.
Okay, you got 6 seconds.
Back.
Oh. Okay, we got everyone back. Let me be pretty frank here in saying that I haven't seen one that's correct yet. So let me look at the last 3. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna need to do with you guys. Stay with me. I'm not gonna take forever on this, but I definitely have got to show you the difference between a correct direct comparison and an incorrect direct comparison. So if you could pay attention to the screen, please. Jackson or Skylar, mute. I got it. I already did it for you. Okay. A direct comparison is directly comparing 2 things. So Buddhism is a non-theistic religion, whereas Judaism is monotheistic. That's correct. Okay, that's a good job. Owen, Stanley, and Grace. Okay, you got the point on that one. All right, so this was good. Now, the way that the second one is phrased, to Buddhism, along with Mesopotamian religion, nature was a key part in their beliefs. That's not a direct comparison. You would want to say nature is a key part of Buddhist beliefs, and nature was a key part of Mesopotamian religion. Okay, so that'd be making that a correct statement. Okay, or a direct comparison. Let me see if I can get this to go down further. So, couple other things that maybe we're confused about that we're going to learn about here. It says Buddhism had multiple gods, the same as Judaism. So neither one of those statements is true. Just so you guys know, Buddhism, there are no gods in Buddhism. Then there is one God in Judaism named Yahweh. And then we want to try not to do this is essentially a both statement. So here, this group that said Buddhism was a lot newer than the Mesopotamian religion, it would have been Buddhism was discovered or established here, and the Mesopotamian religion was established here, okay, or this time, okay? So you need to say both of them. Here's a couple both statements, so you want to rephrase those. Buddhism thought lying and cheating were bad as long as Judaism. So I think we would say Buddhism thought lying and cheating were wrong, and Judaism thought lying and cheating were wrong or against the 10 Commandments. Okay, so that adds more clear evidence. Okay, when you're making comparisons, you want to be able to provide as much evidence as possible. This is good right here. Buddhism believed in reincarnation. In contrast, Judaism believed in going to heaven. This is well said. Okay. Hopefully you guys got the examples of a direct comparison there in your notes. If you were in class, I'd probably be having you write this stuff down and putting it in your essay section of your binder, just so you're getting prepared to write a LEQ or a comp essay where you analyze direct comparisons. Okay, comparison essay. All right. Moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and I'm sharing with you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and break into what I wanted to originally do today. This is going to potentially seem a little bit overwhelming because I normally would do this over a 2 or 3 day period, but I'm not looking for you to get as much information out of this as I normally would. Okay. Remember, we're taking a look at the ancient civilizations through the lens of religion. So keep that in mind when I start vomiting a lot of words and facts, that you're keeping in mind the development of Hinduism and Buddhism today. And from what I saw, you guys have quite a bit to learn, which is good. Okay. So before we get started, again, just like last time, you guys can write down what you want to. This is also located, most of it, I did edit it some today, but it's located on your Canvas page if you want to follow along on your own computer, or if you want to take notes that way, you want to print it off. This is on there. China's on there for tomorrow, I believe, or no, I'll put it on there this afternoon. So, yeah. All right. So the two most classic civilizations in India are the Maurya and the Gupta. They're going to develop alongside the development of two major world religions, which is Hinduism and then Buddhism. But at the same time, there's other religious traditions throughout the Indian subcontinent that are very important, such as Sikhism, which is still a prominent religion in the world today. In fact, has more followers than Judaism. Jainism, which is a very peaceful religion, which ironically the Nazis used the peaceful symbol of the Jains to make the swastika. So again, India is steeped in religious tradition and definitely impacts how their culture is set up to this day. And every subsequent civilization or conqueror that came into India experienced and had to deal with the effects of either Buddhism or Hinduism. So that's where we're going to march here in the next maybe 20 minutes. If you have a question, which you probably will or can, go ahead and just put it in the chat function. Hopefully I'll see it. One thing we skipped was the River Valley civilizations this year, just because of the way the course is going. So the Indus River Valley, the Indus River, hopefully you know where that is, as that's on your geography quiz on Friday. But the Indus River Valley is located underneath the Hindu Kush Mountains, and the Ganges River is located underneath the Himalayan mountains. And those two rivers provided, similar to the Nile River, very, very lush farmland for people to inhabit. And so Indus River Valley civilization, or the Harappan River Valley civilization, developed underneath these rivers. Now, we don't really know how they disappeared. Earthquake, natural disaster, warfare, but they're under maybe a huge flood, but they were under quite a bit of dirt. They've unearthed it today, but not a lot. A lot of guesses they've made, but not a ton of information exists. So once those cities fall to whatever cause, it ushers in what's known as the Vedic Age of India. And the Vedic Age of India is a time period when the foundations for Hinduism and the roots of Indian culture were established in India. And this is when a group of invaders, known as the Aryans, migrated through the Khyber Pass, which is through the Hindu Kush Mountains from Central Asia, Eastern Europe, to populate the Indian subcontinent. This is about 1500 to 1000 BCE. And again, the Aryans were a race of people from Central Eastern Europe. Adolf Hitler will grossly misuse that name and that concept in his approach to developing the Third Reich in Germany. And the late 1920s, early 1930s. Anyways, Sanskrit became a literary language that developed slowly over this long period of time. And it was then during the epic age that these stories that were heroic stories of the gods mixed with kings and different mighty warriors developed into some literary tales, which is known as the epic age. Some of these stories are written in books then that are recorded, known as the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and the Upanishads. In these epics, which are very, very long tales, come out the nature of some of the main gods to Hinduism. And Hinduism's tricky. We'll get there in a second. But it's during the epic age that more foundational and more structure is put into the mix of religion that was in India during the Vedic age and into the epic age. There also the caste system develops, which is known as the Varnas. The Varnas is the caste system in India. You can see right here, okay, at the top are the Brahmins. This is supposed to be the brain of Brahma, the one true God or the creator God. The Kshatriya, which are supposed to be the arms. These are the warrior caste. The Vaishyas, which are the workers. These are the handymen, craftsmen, artisans. And then on the bottom of the caste system, you have the Sudras, which are the common laborers and farmers. Okay? And they're the feet of Brahma. And so from the creator God comes these castes, which today there's hundreds of thousands of castes, and it's not clean like this. It never really was as clean as this. But to use an example, this helps you understand it. Okay? And this became part of Hinduism. Associating with other castes or intermarrying was strictly forbidden. And if you were an untouchable, meaning you were a foreigner or you had done something to be disowned by your own caste, it meant that you weren't even recognized as a member. Okay, and so this is one of the reasons why foreigners had an issue in India, especially up until the 1800s, because of this caste system. This is one of the reasons why Islam, which was open to all believers, did not fit well either here. All right, I'm gonna go through this pretty quick, but the first king to unite India was Chandragupta Maurya of the Maurya dynasty. He set up a pretty good government that applied the principles of legalism, which you're going to talk about tomorrow. And he had a Brahmin caste advisor known as Kautilya, who wrote the Arthashastra, which basically is a legalist approach that says everyone's going to rebel unless you have very strict laws. So he followed these very strict laws and unified India under this precept that he had the strongest army. He actually modeled his army after Alexander the Great in his organization. Now, he died. He actually ends up, I don't know if I have it on here, ends up turning into a Jain and starving himself to death. And he doesn't leave a successor behind. So the successor that he leaves behind is his grandson, Ashoka. And Ashoka murdered 99 of his brothers. Now, that's the story behind it. Realistically, it's probably more like 99 family members, or maybe they just use that number. But he was absolutely ruthless. In one of the regions of India in the northeast, in Kalinga, rebelled against his rule because they thought there was no legitimate ruler. And so he executed on one day 10,000 people with his own troops and watched it in real life. And after that, he's going to dedicate himself to this religion that you guys know was made around 500 BC called Buddhism, which preaches peacefulness, tolerance, temperance, and a way of trying to free your mind from evil things. And so he's not just going to convert himself, but he's going to attempt to convert all of India and let people know that India is different. And so if you look at this map, okay, I think it's really cool. If you look at this, everywhere there's a dot and everywhere there's a triangle, which is basically all the large ports that came into India, and then any of the trade routes. You can see the passes through the mountains here in the north side. They had pillar rock edicts, which basically had messages that were written in Sanskrit, but also Greek and Aramaic. So people from the Middle East and Greek people could read these 40 to 50 foot high messages that promoted peace and tolerance in India. So for a short period of time, India is moves towards a Buddhist nature and embraces is tolerant of a lot of different ideas. Here's an example of one of the stupas or pillars. I actually, we don't have a lot of time, but I want to show you guys this. Find it real quick. Yeah. I was going to have you do this today, but we didn't really have time. So here's some of the ideas of the quotes that were on there. Don't condemn anything. Give importance to the essence of every religion, and there'll be real peace and harmony. So religious tolerance. The greatest of righteousness among men comes from the exhortation in favor of non-injury to life and abstention from killing living beings. So peacefulness, non-violence. I have done many good deeds. If my sons, grandsons, and their descendants up to the end of the world act in like manner, they too will do much good. So temperance, moderation, spending and saving is good. All men are my children. What I desire for my children, I desire their happiness both in this world and the next, that I desire for all men. So inclusive of all people. Okay, you guys can see the vast, stark difference between Buddhism and Hinduism here. I hope you guys are following me on this one. Okay, so once he dies, though, his empire goes into turmoil, and you don't see a united India for another 400 or 500 years. So really 320 CE. Okay, and it's going to be united, the north part again, where the rivers are that are very fertile soil, by the Gupta family. These names I don't really care if you remember them. Chandragupta the first, Chandragupta the second. But what I want you to know is they brought back Hinduism with a vengeance. And Hinduism became rooted, although there's a lot of other religious traditions, like I said, around. This is when Buddhism migrates over to China, because China is in its own series of civil wars we'll talk about tomorrow. And this is where Hinduism really takes shape and even spreads down into the Malaysian peninsula, which it's still to this day the dominant religion in that area. If you read this quote, this is a Buddhist monk who traveled along the Silk Trade route. And he says, he reported the people to be happy, relatively free of government oppression, and inclined towards courtesy and charity. But other references in the journal, however, indicate that the caste system was rapidly assuming its basic features, including untouchability, the social isolation of a lowest class that is doomed to menial labor. So you can see just by reading this that underneath the Gupta, the caste system came back and was actually very much a part of the laws of the civilization. Moving forward here, just you guys can see this. This is the Silk Trade route. This is, was attached to the Roman Empire and the Han Chinese, and then eventually the Tang family in China also. Here, I think you might be surprised by this one, but in the trade, you're going to see a lot of spices coming out of India. Cotton goods. The best cotton in the world to this day comes from India. The other thing I want you to see is we call this the golden age of India underneath the Gupta. Some of you are asking these questions like where these things came from, and I think they'll come back in this course. But the idea that the earth is round, the Gupta figured that out around in the 4th, 5th century. pi, the concept of zero, Arabic numerals were actually Indian numerals. It's just when the Muslims came to India, northern India, they shared them across all the way to Europe, and that's why we use not Roman numerals, but Arabic numerals, which are actually Indian. One of the most impressive things they did was their achievements in science, diseases and healing plants, C-sections, not named after Julius Caesar, but actually Indian, much earlier. Plastic surgery, they still use the same Indian techniques to perform that today. So anyways, golden age of India underneath the Hindu Guptas. All right, let's talk a little bit about religion then. Okay, so Hinduism, not to confuse you with Buddhism, it's different than any monotheistic religion, different than Judaism, and it's seen as more of a way of life than it is necessarily worshiping one God. It has no single founder. It developed over a long period of time. It has no specific theological system, so no set of rules. There are principles in the different epics that were written. No single concept of one God. There are a lot of millions of different gods and avatars. Obviously, Brahma can be considered the one God, which all gods come from, but it's not as neatly organized as, let's say, you have in Christianity, Jesus, who's the Son of God, and the Holy Spirit and God make up the Trinity. It doesn't work like that. Okay. No single set of morality or religious authority or concept of a prophet, really. Okay. When we look at Hinduism, just a couple other things I wanted to point out. It is a very tolerant religion. And if you look on the bottom, again, people in the West get it confused with monotheistic religions. It's not. Okay. Brahma is the supreme God, but from Brahma comes Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And then again, many, many, many different avatars or different kinds of ways that God comes to earth through different people and things. All right, so let's look at Buddhism then. Buddhism, the similarities it shares with Hinduism. They both believe in karma and dharma. Karma is what goes into the bank when you do good. And then dharma is, let me get that right. Dharma is what you put in the bank when you do things that are good. Karma is what you get when you die for all of those good things you put in the bank. Okay? But both believe in this idea of reincarnation, that you're going to be reborn based upon if you're doing your duty. Dharma is duty. It's your path to enlightenment. Whether you are whatever caste you're in, you need to perform your dharma as well as you can so that you have good karma, so you're reincarnated to a higher thing. Okay? Buddhism and Hinduism both agree in this. Difference in Buddhism, though, is there is a distinct founder. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, somewhere in Nepal, had these visions. And again, this is a earthly thing that a lot of people can resonate with, but his main idea was that it was the Four Noble Truths. Suffering exists. There's a reason why it exists. You can end the suffering. In order to end it, though, you have to follow what's called the Eightfold Path, okay, which we'll look at in a second. Now, in addition to the Eightfold Path, Buddhists also believe that there are other 5 important rules to live by called the 5 precepts. Do not kill, do not steal, do not lie, do not misuse sex, and do not consume alcohol or drugs. So you could easily compare those to the 10 Commandments. Just to keep in mind, Buddhism will almost completely disappear from India as it will migrate to China, Southeast Asia, and then over to Korea and even Japan as well. All right, the Eightfold Path, maybe you've seen this in middle school, maybe not. Look at things the right way, right view, intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, concentration, and mindfulness. And you're going to notice that this is more in line with the Ten Commandments than it is the legalist approach of Hammurabi's code or the Mesopotamian religions. Now, some people will say that there have been many Buddhas, and that's the idea. But originally, the Buddha did not want to be recognized as a god. Various forms of Buddhism developed later on in China and Southeast Asia, where that's why you start to see sculptures of the Buddha and various different teachings. Oh, looks like we got no, she's early. Okay. Do I have one more for you? No. Okay. I'm gonna end there today. I just want to tell you guys that was, like I said, a lot of information and a lot of sit and get. I apologize. But before I let you go, I want to show you what your homework is this evening. And that is, let me go to modules. Your homework this evening is you are going to take a look at Chinese philosophy and where is it here? Yeah. Early Chinese thought patterns. Okay. I have the document right here. You're going to fill out the graphic organizer and submit it by the start of tomorrow's class. Okay. You will be using this for our lesson tomorrow. In fact, you have a bit of a quiz when you get to class. You're going to be doing it in small groups again, but you want to make sure that you follow along with the instructions as best you can. If you miss a couple boxes, some of them aren't so obvious. Like there's not necessarily one symbol for Confucianism. There's not necessarily one perfect symbol for legalism. So, but for definitely there is for Taoism. So some of them might be a little harder to find, but do your best with that. And then, like I said, we'll use it right when you get to class. If you have any questions, guys, a lot of information. I'll stay here for a couple minutes. If not, you're free to go to the bathroom and do what you need to do in order to get ready for next period. I'm here. Anybody have any frogging question? All right. Well, I see I've got Jackson and Skylar left. We're good? All right.